Hey, come on. Come on. Hey. What? Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Hey. Let's chit chat, this is the show now. Come on. Bad black mama's gonna let you know now. Hey. Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Come on. Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, hey. Let's chit chat, sis. Hey, what's up? Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey.
Hello, everybody. How's everything going?
Oh,
Good.
good.
Welcome back.
Oh, well.
Long week, everybody. Or are you ready for the week?
I'm ready for the week to be over.
I mean, I know, because your week is like in reverse from Mel.
Exactly.
What about you?
I've been off all week, so I've had a restful week. So I'm ready, got
Have
to get
you?
started for the week. Yes.
Oh,
She look like she glowing tonight. She look like she been
do.
off all week.
Yeah,
I've been off all week. Yeah.
got her
I
do
wanted to
done,
say
and
that.
she's just sitting there
Yeah.
smiling. Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
girl. Oh, God. Well, you back in the trenches tomorrow, but no,
Back in the trenches.
enjoy today. Enjoy today. And always say, be happy for the things that we have today. Tomorrow we don't know, but we're always thankful. So, Jay, how was your week?
Oh man, my week was great. I did, I just had a real busy week, but it was a productive busy, a fun busy,
That's
impactful
good.
busy. So yeah,
That's
this
a
living
lot
life. I
of.
went to go see a comedy show last night,
Well,
and I
that's
tell you, it was pretty
good.
funny. Yeah, I went to go
Who'd you
see Bruce
see?
Bruce, Earthquake.
Okay.
Yeah, with some more
Oh, that's a
Mike
good
Epps.
Wow, you got a good
Yeah,
one.
oh
That's a
yeah,
good
yeah,
comedy.
yeah, and but Henry Welch was like the opening act. Henry Welch killed it. I'm telling you, if you hear that name, go see him. He's funny.
All right.
But
Okay.
yeah,
That's a good thing, Jay. How was it with after the Dave Chappelle whole debacle? Were comedians treading water more or no?
nah, they all
Nah,
they
you know
Okay,
they
that's
don't
right.
care.
You
hell.
can't
They
fucking
don't
cancel
care.
But
comedy.
let me just say this, Dave Chappelle is like this master genius. The
Mhm.
way he paradizes his comedy on another intellectual level. I'm a huge fan of his. So he's a rare talent. You see what I'm saying? Nobody really does like what he does. Like
That's the truth.
Paul Moody. I don't know if y'all know Paul Moody, the
Yeah.
comedian.
Yeah, we all do.
Everybody, you know what I'm saying? He was that kind of eccentric guy that was like you could paradise to. But no, nobody was treading lightly. Hell no, especially not
You know they
Chappelle.
don't care because he done opened up a new playbook, and now it's going to be
Right.
open season. So, Joy, how was your week? Welcome, Joy, to the porch.
Yeah.
Joy.
Well, I'm retired, so most of my days pretty much look the same, except for today's football.
Oh, day
Okay.
the day is.
Who's your team? Who's your team, Joy?
What's that? Who's my team? A good game. I'm old now. I just don't give a shit anymore. I'm like, I just want to shoot some good shit. I got the NFL Game Pass, so I could watch a game in 40 minutes.
I got you. There
Yeah,
you go.
Sunday is for football. Sunday is for
It's like
football.
lesbian Christmas.
So before we get to our question, let's hear our question from actually our question comes from Keisha's daughter Jayden. So we're just gonna jump into our question, but and we starting this is something new. So instead of y'all hearing my corny questions every week, we'll just hear questions from the crowd. Not the crowd, because this is beautiful Jayden. So let's hear this question from Jayden and be able to answer her question, because it's not my stupid questions y'all hear every week. So let's see what Jayden got to say.
Hello, my name is Jayden and I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia. And my question for you all is, what do you admire the most about millennials?
All right.
She got straight to the point. I love that energy.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yes,
self.
you did. That's a great question. Actually, a very good question.
Very good question.
Yeah.
I think for me, I admire most that they just keep the same energy for everything. And when they believe in something, they go hard.
That's what I say.
Hard.
They are bold and they are fierce. That's why
Absolutely.
I love them. I love them. They have courage and they do not mind saying no.
That's that old school
not,
courage, like, you know, sitting up at the counter, the lunch counter when you were Black and you know you wasn't supposed to be sitting there, but you did it anyway. That's that old school courage. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
They're not afraid. I like they're not afraid to change. They will just stop something. If they don't want to do it, they won't do it. If they are passionate about something, they're going to do it, and they don't take no stuff. They are really their own person. And I just like the way they take chances. So that's what I admire most about millennials.
Me being like the oldest person on here, probably, I have to say I love the millennials, the spirit. I agree with what everyone just said, but the one little other thing I really like, that technologically, they're so savvy with technology and just can figure out this computer shit so fast. I love them. Yes. So
millennials are the first people that had all this technology for all their life, and like that was nothing that we had. Like they were still taking attendance with a pencil and calling your house.
They're born into it, right? They're born into it, right?
Yeah, and these people know nothing about that. No, you could hand them a rotary phone. They don't know how to use it.
What the fuck is this?
They're like trying to like. They're like, what?
No, let me tell you something, guys. They didn't know what a record player. I'm a teacher, and so I had an old school record player, and I was putting records on. So I asked my assistant, this was a few years ago, can you just put the record on the record player to play some songs? And she put it on, and she was like, "What do I do now?" And I was like, "Oh, I am really old." And then I had to teach her about the record player.
I had to do that with my son. One day I was going out of town and I gave him a phone. I had taken his cell phone. He was on punishment, but I was still going out of town. And so anyway, I bought this house phone, and it was wireless. And I put it down and I was like, okay, this is how you call me. He just looked at me and said, "What is this?" And I said, "It's a wireless phone." He said, "I've never seen this before."
Isn't that crazy?
He didn't know how to use it.
Like
but they're so smart. They're super smart. Super smart.
They are.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and this is it's just so amazing, right? How the world is just drastically changed, right? Everything is the internet, and this is the era that we live in. But I definitely love that about them. You know, they are so smart and so driven, and they really, really believe like sky is the limit. You know. And I love how they've embraced entrepreneurship now.
Definitely.
And you know, I'm serious. It's like really amazing. But I tell you a true story. A 17-year-old friend I know, that's her daughter, a friend. Well, I was talking about XM radio, right? She just started driving. I was like, yeah, because I listen to radio, XM radio. She's like, I said, yeah, satellite radio. She's like, what is that?
Oh my.
Because we only listen to our own music and our devices. This generation, this millennials, when they drive their cars and they only listen to radio.
That's how they get their news
their own music. Right.
The news
only listen to their own devices. Right. Exactly.
That's why there's reaction channels on YouTube.
Like, wow.
That's why.
Okay.
That's why.
Yeah. You know
why
what
they don't
saying?
deal with what the traditional media is telling you. Because they're not listening.
Y'all the bomb. Y'all the bomb.
And you know what else? Something else that they do. They on the job. You know how someone gives us a pile of work and we'll just go ahead on and do the work. They'll say, "No, this is too much." No. They will fight literally for what they want on the job.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they don't have a problem with reinventing themselves. Like we always say that, you know, we could be in a work environment that we do not like. They don't believe in being in a work environment they do not like.
Oh no.
They'll reinvent themselves because they don't believe in them reinventing themselves. They're just leaving and they're going to something else. And that's it. That's it. So I work around them, and I can tell you said, how hard you try to get into the government, you leaving? They look at you like you crazy. You stay here and have to deal with You stay in this. You stay and deal with the foolishness that's going on over here. And if I don't like that, I'll just drive Uber. You know, be like, What?
I love their boldness.
Yeah.
I love it. I have a guy that I work with, and he's a nurse assistant, and I was like, I need you to come over here and do such and such and such and such. I need such and such, and he brings it to me. He says, "Oh, let me know if you need anything else." I said, No, I need you to come do it. He just looked at me like, no, bitch, you can do it too. He had no problem with like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You can do it too. And I loved it. And it's unapologetic. I like that about them.
And I'll tell you something. Yes, and something else that I can relate to the millennials. I love how they took fashion to another level.
Oh yeah.
The millennials, like, they just killing it now. The fashion industry has just, is just turned into something that's really cool, because there's a lot of fashion design. That's back to the entrepreneur thing, right? But each generation takes it and goes further. Another thing that I do like, though, is that these millennials now are like, hey, they're saying no to racism. They're saying no. They're speaking up, and they're holding each other accountable too more, and that aspect. And I really love that about.
That's huge.
Well.
That is so huge, Jay, because we really need the millennials and to take control and help us to combat racism, because racism is more than just a pandemic type of mindset. It comes and goes. It's continuous. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And just like with any generation, you will hope, because the millennials and what's after the millennials, Gen X or Gen Y or something like that, you will hope that mindset is going to be more bolder and more aggressive to kind of take that racism type of mindset and extinguish it, because we are really in peril times, because that older mindset keeps trying to raise his head and come back and make it.
You mean us?
No, older than us.
Older than us.
Look at Congress. Those old ass people is sitting in Congress.
Oh, they need to sit down sometime.
Even when you separated them out, you got a group that's called the progressives. You know what I mean? They're not progressives. They're just telling you whether to actually need it now. Not you that's been sitting there for 90 years. You need to go and enjoy your life and stop acting like what people need now.
Yeah, because the world's changed.
You know what I mean? So that's why I appreciate younger people and the millennials, because they may not have everything that we had when we were growing up, but I sure appreciate their driven and their mindset, because it is going to bring change to this world. Even if people don't like it, you'll have to adjust to it. So that brings us into our topic, and it may not go as smooth as Jaden's question. So thank you, Jaden. You listened. Thank you for that question, because it was awesome.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, it was an awesome question. But our topic today: when calling each other bitches and niggas become the norm. That's silence right there.
So when did it become the norm? I don't know. I mean,
no, it's just
it's just when I know back in the 70s, it was. I've heard it, and I was born in the 60s, so I've heard it my entire life. I've heard it my entire life too.
But I think now, when we talk about bitches and niggas becoming the norm, we hear it in another kind of like term, okay? Because when we hear bitches, okay, I don't think it's almost a term of endearment when we say bitches now. I think it's back to being in a more offensive type of language, because I don't think bitches is even something you can put a pretty spin on it. But
this generation embraced it. They've embraced it though. This generation,
that's what I'm saying.
They call each other that.
Have embraced it,
right? Yeah.
They have embraced it.
It's cool now. This is good.
It depends on it doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation for, like we were talking about, the younger generation, because you would hear Trina say, "I'm the baddest bitch," meaning that she has it all. She can do whatever she wants to. And I think it depends on how you're using that word, because they say a woman that's in power or something, that she is a bitch. No, she's unapologetic about what she say, what she means, how she feels, and she's just not gonna take any stuff for you. So in that term, it may be negative, but like you said, in the younger generation, they'll say, I'm gonna embrace my. I've heard this. Embrace my inner bitch, meaning that.
right.
Meaning that. And that's not my and this is not my vernacular because I don't usually say that unless you get me on politics, and then that gets me kind of worked up. That's not my normal vernacular. But however, I always listen to and be with and try to know what's going on with
young folk,
the younger ones. So it just depends.
But when are we going to stop worrying about what words people put on us, right? When are we going to stop that? Right. Bitch, nigga, whatever. It's meant to be negative, mostly. And then there are times where people are saying it like, oh, that's my bitch over there. And it's not it's in that way, it's not meant to be negative.
Right.
And who fucking cares?
Well, I think
why do we care so much?
As a word of, and I guess to your point, Mel, when we use it as a word of endearment to somebody, you can embrace it, like both of you said, like way Trina used it. Hell, I want to be that bad bitch too, because I know I am. Hey, I
don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't care
either way.
I don't want somebody to walk up and say, you bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I'm gonna say you might be right today.
So this is what I was gonna ask though. Like, okay, since it's like how you embrace it now, I don't know. I can't figure that out. But is it ever a time that it is meaning it's offensive now? If you can be, I'm this bad bitch. I'm a bad motherfucking bitch. Yeah, I'm a bad bitch. So somebody walk up, hey, bitch. Is that ever offensive? If you just called yourself a bad motherfucking bitch? Is that ever
exactly,
offensive?
That's what I'm saying. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
so it's not. So it's not offensive.
Saying something you already know. If you got good common sense, you already know when it's being portrayed as offensive.
I think when somebody's being malicious, it's the maliciousness of it. Or the cut, the way they put that cut on it. It's like, what are you really trying to say? And unfortunately, that's too subjective because some people will be like, yo, what you trying to say? Yeah. Right. When you really wasn't trying to say that.
And after you finish being malicious, I'm still going to walk over to the side and say, we do not care.
Like, you don't matter.
You don't matter. You don't count. When I eat, no. Mm-hmm.
I see, and I guess it goes right back. It goes right back because then when we start talking about niggas, that's a whole nother bag of sensitivity. Now, some of y'all might want to just down in the chair, down in the chair, because guess what? Mel know my dad used to say it like it was like the A in the English language. You know what I mean? And it was all nigglets. It was all little nigglets in our neighborhood and stuff like that. We used to joke and everything like that. But I knew it was affectionately told. He wasn't saying it to degrade anybody. It was just something common. But I know that if my dad was living now, he probably would not say it at all. He probably would not say it at all because it was probably a time period.
Change over time.
Yeah, time period now because things are very sensitive now. So, but I still hear people saying it, and I hear them saying it in different ways. So it's common. Are we saying it's common? But is it accepted as a common word?
With the younger generation, I know that there's some very few men in my age group, in my age range that I'm associated with use it.
Right.
And I say, I still don't like it. I understand the young man's perspective. I try to relate and understand where they're coming from. But the legacy of racism is involving the N-word, okay? Right. It's involving that. And we know of its origin and the ancestry with why it was used and towards people of color, okay? Right. We understand this. I know this generation now has said, we're trying to, take the sting away by making it now, a brotherhood of endearment. This is what we're doing to try to like redefine it, but you can't because there's still so much pain associated and racism associated with it. And then we still know we ain't gonna let no white folks call us that. So no matter how much we try to embrace it, we know that is not going to happen.
We know if we can turn on some music right now, it's going to be flowing across the airwaves, just like it's a common word. a common.
How can you
abuse
stop
it-
somebody else from calling you nigga when we call ourselves niggas? And
Well,
niggas
see, and
bitches?
that's the justification that I've had a conversation with a white man that he said to me.
Oh,
You
really?
know, well, I was like, you still can't call me that though. No, you can't. So, and this
You
is
still
true.
can't say nigga.
Here's a real story. I don't know if y'all remember that, but Kendrick Lamar had
I
a
love
concert, and he brought up some fans a while back to like kind of do an open mic to one of his songs.
Mhm.
Well, one of the fans, a young white lady, got up there, and she verbatim got to, he using it when she nigga, and and he was like, ho, 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 you can't do that. She was like, okay, but you do it.
Do it.
He like, but no, you still can't do that. So it was a thing back and forth about it. People like, yeah, Kendrick Lamar should have stood up and checked her. And some people were like, well, if you're gonna have an open mic and you got black and white folks out here, why are you gonna pick a song with the N-word in it if you don't want nobody to say verbatim your lyrics, right? And you're using it. So they were kind of like, well, you kind of hypocritical, man, to be saying, you don't want nobody to use that word, but you making money off that word, using it.
And if you didn't use it offensively, if he wasn't using it offensively, she was just repeating his lyrics.
Yeah, but you can't do that, Mel. You just can't. Sorry, white folks on the porch, please don't use it any kind of way. Period.
I mean, so I guess we can agree. We all agree that this is being used mainly with young folks today. I don't know anybody really in our age bracket that is using it fluently.
I use it all the time.
Yeah. Well,
I use the damn word all the time. And I make up other adjectives to go with it. Nigga Rachi, nigga Nez, nigga dumb. Right. I use all the words.
Right. Nigga rig, something nigga rig.
Nigga rigged. Wow. Yes. I said that to somebody one day. She repeated it right back. She was white. I said, you done nigga rigged this Ivy? Nigga rigged. I mean,
that's funny.
Come on. Anybody who says they don't use the word and don't mean it to be offensive to the other person or to ourselves, it's kind of ridiculous. And sometimes it's funny to me. It's just an adjective that everybody understands what we're talking about. And nigginess doesn't necessarily, see, there's another one. Nigginess doesn't necessarily refer to blacks.
Yeah.
It refers to some type of behavior. It's a behavior.
It's a behavior.
Because I done seen some of my white girlfriends. I ain't got a few, so somebody on here I'm talking to, she be doing a whole lot of nigga shit. There's another adjective.
But it's funny. It was a championship boxing not long ago, and it was like a welterweight division, both Hispanics. And so one guy won, and the other guy, the losing opponent was like, but you always be my nigga. They was like, yo, my nigga. They were using the word like that. You see, and they it's like, I understand how in some ways you're like, hey, this word now has this new definition, taking on this whole new persona of its own of genuine love and respect, Mm-hmm. And this is how I'm embracing it, but it still stings, every time I think about it and what our ancestors went through, and it wasn't that long ago. So it's just a very, very hard thing. My mother, 91 years old now, still has the Jim Crow memories, of actually seeing colored, white only, Negro, and then everybody was called that, whooped being called that, so we ain't got to go down that whole road. But today's generation, I can appreciate wanting to redefine it. I can, all of that. It's just, unfortunately, what y'all just said, you hit it on the nail on the head. It's to a behavior too, because it ain't always love when we calling each other that, right?
But it ain't always black either.
No. Definitely not. But no other race can call us that though. Please don't.
No, please, no.
No, because that's when the fight break out.
But I also think, like I said, that's a timing thing. Because 20 years ago, it wasn't like that. If you were in the hood or hood adjacent, whether you were Asian or white, everyone used that word.
Not to me. Not to me, though.
I mean, you would see the Asians
I'm
out on there
58.
talking about and this and my friends will walk into the room and be like, yo, Ann, what's up? What kind of N are you, Ann?
They had their ass beat.
Look.
and
But listen,
it was
understand what you're saying,
it
Joe.
was ignorant, especially on my part. Like when I finally figured out that it was painful to some people and that not everybody was looking at where somebody was coming from. Like it just really didn't fucking matter. Like it was painful and hurtful. You know, that's when I figured it out, but I didn't figure it out young.
That's a point right there.
Right. And it was a time like I remember when we we would say my nigga. That was a time when we came up. I think I was probably like in the 80s or something back then. That was the thing to say, you know, yo, what's up, my nigga? You know, and we would all just subconsciously say that to each other, you know, at that time, again, in embracing and love, you know, the Brotherhood Committee. But I'm just saying right now, I'm trying to talk to the Brotherhood Committee, like we got to ban that word, you know, come up with another way of saying it. You know,
it would make it easier.
Ban the word, my ass is out.
Where you going, man? Where you going, man?
Man, I say nigga all the time. I'm serious, and I mean no offense to anyone.
You say this at work?
Well,
if she talking to me on the phone,
you said nigga Rachi.
Yeah, I said that. Yes, I
and
do.
See, I don't use that word. However, I understand, and it's never been a part of even people that I've been around that say that often or say that at all. Really,
with me.
But I understand because I understand that the Black vernacular. You can say, yeah, that's my nigga over there. It doesn't offend me, but it's just that something that it's just not a part of my vocabulary.
This is why people are fighting and dying, because we saying shit and we're so sensitive about words anymore. Yes, it was hurtful back in the day, but we have to take back our power. That shit don't mean nothing anymore. We have to stop letting it offend us, because at the end of the day, what you say don't mean shit to me.
I say this, if somebody come up to you and say, look here, nigger, you better
I'm gonna say
on that. That's going to offend you.
I'm gonna give you one of those and keep it pushing.
What the hell is you saying? It's a tone, and it's a tone.
It is.
It is right.
It is.
It's that yo, what's up, my nigga? Something like that. That's with affection. When you come with something else behind that, that's just like, ooh, yeah. Okay.
If you mean it offensively, do I care?
You probably don't care, but it's good to get a nice big knock in there sometimes.
But see, then maybe
but I'm like you. It doesn't. You can. I'm like you with that word, Mel. That it's not pertaining to Black, but pertaining to the way you're acting. Or
right.
Yeah.
So if I'm acting like a nigga, you may be very well to call me a nigga, and I might be like, did I just do some nigga shit?
So
but everybody don't call people niggas because they're acting like niggers. Because if you think about the day and times we're in, some people are calling people niggas because they're racist, and we cannot.
But because we're showing our sensitivity and we're exposing ourselves, and we really should tell them we really don't give a fuck. And when we start doing that, they will stop saying nigga, because it don't mean nothing.
Yeah, I think that
anything. Let me correct myself so they don't say that was some nigga.
We can agree to disagree. I think that some people may take it. I don't know if some certain person came in your face and say that, you might have to handle it in a different way. I'm just being the devil's advocate, but. I
might have adopted this thought process, because as a nurse, you can't hit nobody unless you want to lose your license. So maybe I've adopted that process.
You gotta hit them. They'll be a fool to fuck with the nurse. I'll tell you that much. So I mean, really.
Bend over.
Bend over. I need to give you an enema right now. I'm sorry.
I missed with that IV stick. Let me try it again.
They don't want to be playing it, but especially when somebody got your damn life in their hands, you could be an idiot all you want, but
you'll be surprised. You will be surprised how many people be sick as hell and come in here talking about, I don't want no nigga serving me. And I'm like, okay, then you can lay your ass right here, because I'm it. Because we're all Black here today. That's it.
Well, I'm gonna say I know my sensitivities are higher from a different Okay, go ahead, Keisha. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say my sensitivities to the word, because having experienced racism from real KKK calling me that to my
Mm.
face and threatening to kill me, it really stings. I mean, like, and I was much younger. They scared the hell out of me. I mean, like, really scared me. So I'll never forget that. And then later in life, years later, I was dawning on me. I was like, damn, like that's what like my grandfather and great grandfather, they were going through that every day at their workplace, every store, everywhere they went, constantly being berated with that word, and that's why I think about that sometimes. I'm like, man, we can't come up with another word. We can't call each other something else, you know. But that's why it always sting for me, like I think about that.
But my question is, why in the first place, like what happened that when somebody said nigga 500 years ago, 400 years ago, that we just all got up in arms?
Why? What
Because it
happened?
was
Like
meant to put
you
a
I mean, I
saying
know
ban
what
on.
other than
happened in
well, you
history,
tell me
but
other
you
than
said
they?
nigga,
When
why
Oh,
did
they
we make
said
I was
when
gonna
war?
they
say,
said Negro, they was lynching your ass right along with
yeah,
them
killing
white
us,
folks.
lynching.
It was meant
That's what we
okay.
were. I'm saying, like, I'm really not trying to be funny, man, but you're saying because that's what they called us, where they killed us and oppressed us and kept us in bondage and wrote laws against us and continued to, systemically have racism. That's what they called us. This is what they as treat us as less than a person because we
Mm-hmm.
were
They're gonna do
this.
that whether they call you a nigga or not.
So, well, again, I'm just saying, as far as the word, in my opinion, why it stings so much for those, and this is what I say about this generation. Somewhat has changed from my generation because my generation was a little bit more culturally aware and proud and did associate a little bit more with ourselves as being of African origin. This generation doesn't. And I had a conversation with a young man that told me, I'm African nothing. I'm black, nigga.
Oh,
So
he
I'm
called you
saying,
nigga?
okay,
You said it like that?
you know, yeah, well, this is what he's having a conversation with someone else. But I mean,
Oh,
I'm in the presence. But what it wasn't meant like he wasn't saying the word like, in a disrespectful way. This is just the language of these young men now. I'm just saying, constantly. But the whole point of this is where I think has changed the sting, because some of this generation is like, man, slavery's over. That was y'all, it's over. Ain't nobody tripping about that no more. We ain't slaves no more,
well, that's a
this kind
lie.
of thing. And then like, okay, I ain't African nothing. So what are you? Black. What is black? Black is a color. What is your heritage? What is your cultural heritage? Your real racial true identity? What is it? It's not a color. We've been labeled that, so we accept it, but we all know, just like we meet a Michael Wu, WOO, he's of Asian origin, right? Typically has his name, his little language, whatever. We have none of that. So I get it and understand now why young men do this. I'm just still saying, I'm on the battlefield just saying the word ain't right, because you wouldn't be here without your ancestors that fought to stay alive and get us our rights and freedoms that we have today. So this is why, I always just want to say, don't use the word, man. Don't use the word. But I understand as a disconnect. That's my point. It's like a disconnect from some of our cultural identity with some of these young folks.
We
So they
appreciate
don't
that.
associate the word with a sting. They don't associate it that way.
Well, I think that, if you think about it, we are in two different eras when we think about how we were raised and how the younger generation is actually, I would say, embracing these typically negative stereotypes of words and changing them into something that they are using as words or terms of more of endearment.
Mm-hmm.
Really. So, I think over the course of time, I'll go back to saying again, hopefully, what Jay is saying, will always lay in the back of their mind, because one thing I agree with what you're saying, Jay, is I think you should never ever forget where you come from. You can't
Absolutely.
wipe that
Right.
slate clean ever. You know what I mean? and I'm not saying hold on to resentment and things like that, because that's never good for anybody, but you should never forget where you come from. And hopefully there'll be a healthy balance where we'll have a conversation about these words. You know, a bitch is a dog. We do all know that, right? Yeah. So putting a spin on it is like Keisha said and Mel said, sometimes, you know, I'll be in the antics too, because I listen to rap music all the time in my car. If you ride with me, you're gonna be rocking and you're gonna be saying bitches too. But, you know, at the end of the day, hopefully we'll have some type of happy medium to know where the line of respect is never to offend and always to remember what those words actually do mean. So that's my spin on this. And I think this was a really great episode. Everybody said their passionate feelings about it. And I think we kept it really cool, because when everybody listening to this, they're going to know that we didn't offend anybody, but we told our truth about those two words, bitches and niggas. Right. We not a part of NWA. We never been a part of it.
I was going to say, you said that like you in the damn CD. Damn. Said that like you on this. Damn, was you on that record? You said that joke with some emphasis.
So, let's go around and, close this out. Mel, what's your final thoughts?
So I use nigga a lot, but I don't use bitch as often. And bitch, I guess because if I call you a bitch, I really mean something with that. So I don't use it as often. But I'm going to keep saying it. I'm sorry. And I know the origins. I understand where we come from. But I really feel we have to take off those cloaks of people putting shit on us and us wearing it. We don't have to do that anymore. We can just be like, fuck you. Oh, okay. Whatever. And keep it moving. That's how I feel.
Joy?
Yeah, I mean, for much of this, I'm a visitor in this conversation. I don't.
Nobody's a visitor when they come to the porch. We're all family.
So pasty and all, but it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. I can tell you that if I allow myself to be in an environment where that words and those words and Jay-Z Black Album is playing all the time, it's hard not to. Mm-hmm. So I stay away. And, I don't listen to Jay-Z album after album after album after album, followed by, country grammar, you know what I mean? So I'm less likely to put myself in situations where I'll slip. But it's hard. It can be hard if I let myself, like if I'm dating somebody and we go to the projects to see the family and it's all went, and the music is all and I just gotta be like, not to. You know what I mean? Like, better not. Better not. You know what I'm saying? So, I just get more potato salad. It's all good.
Keisha?
This has been a pleasure to listen to.
Oh my goodness. What I will say is, well, I am not a bitch, or am I a nigga?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Simply
put. You say the last Jay.
What she said.
Right.
Well, I mean, really, I don't use either word. I'm not to the point where I can't be in the presence of somebody using those words. I try to, ultimately look at what a person's doing and not what they're saying, and understanding that people express themselves differently now. This generation has embraced it. And so, though it bothers me, I try not to ever make them feel as though they can't openly express themselves and speak freely, because if I'm trying to have a conversation, that's what I want to do. So I don't in any way use either word. I don't really understand, especially the B word from women to women, how that's become okay. And now even hearing some men call them that to their faces, how that's got to, I don't know.
That. But
that's not okay.
But it happens. It's happening right now, y'all. If you ain't got an ear to the street, talk to some of these young folks out here, because it's going on. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Talk to them now. Okay. It is. I'm just saying. I had the conversation. Talk to any 20-year-olds right now and ask, do you ever hear any men calling young ladies the B word, and the young ladies are okay with it? and they will tell you yes.
Yeah, we need to
I
help.
tell a lot of stories with that word though.
Yes.
Because I'll be telling them now, and this, and this, and this.
You better go read a damn book, because there's not many of those stories talking about dogs in there like that. So they better read a book.
It's
Not
wrong
the
on
dog
all
book,
levels. It's all
okay?
levels. You know,
Yeah.
that's my final words on it. You know,
Great.
my
This
personal
was a great episode, everybody. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So, you know, again, meet us back on the porch next Wednesday when we bring you again another really hot topic as usual. So enjoy yourself this week. Take care of yourself. Always check us out on our social media page. Let's Chit Chat Sis. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So have a wonderful week on purpose and take care.
Peace.
Bye.